This is PJNET.TV, and this is my perspective and comments. In this video segment of My Perspective and Comments, we cover politics, society here and abroad, and the events of the day that are shaping our nation. PJNET.TV, My Perspective and Comment, coming to you with a worldview, one nation under God. Welcome to My Perspective and Comments. And as we have done for the last 13 months plus, we're going to start out with the Wuhan, the China, the COVID-19 flu virus. And let's get updated on what's been going on. Great news from the CDC Thursday. They have come out and said that the masks can now, if you are vaccinated, you've had the Pfizer or Moderna, that's a two-shotter. On that second shot, after 2 weeks, you're good to go. Take the masks off. Johnson & Johnson, it's a one shot. 2 weeks after that, you can now take your masks off. So right now, masks are off outdoors and indoors. So some good news. Finally, all these restrictions and the lockdowns, I think we're starting to see right now, finally getting back to normal. Now, there are some stipulations when it comes to the masks. It looks like the airlines, the buses, trains, public transportation is still going to require a mask to use their facility or their transportation. But when it comes to things like outdoor concerts and right now the other outdoor concerts in venues like that, or even indoor concerts, if you're vaccinated, you can go without masks. And that 6 foot, there's no barriers there. You can come in and there's no 6 foot distancing. The distancing is gone too. So, some great news for that. Finally, we're inching our way towards getting back to normal. Now, some of the ins and outs and gotchas that haven't really become clear, and I think it's really going to come down to really can they enforce it. But how are they going to determine your vaccine status? And I think when reality comes to play, the most that they're going to be able to do is, have you been vaccinated? Some people are going to say yes. Some people are going to say yes. Some people are going to say, really, and some people are going to say, well, really, that's my own business. I don't really, my medical business is my business. And I really think when it really comes down to it, the majority of venues or places of business are really going to just, as time goes on, they're not going to be asking any questions. You come in without a mask and you truly get back to normal. I think that's where we are right now. And I think that really constitutionally and all the medical privacy that is built into laws really can be challenged in, I believe, pretty handily with HEPA and all those rules that were put in for privacy when it comes to medical situations. So finally, we're inching our way towards the getting back to normal. The other thing too I want to say about the CDC announcement was they also made note that these governors with their state of emergencies and their so-called authorizations are basically voided. That what CDC had come out with for getting the masks being removed, the CDC has already identified that executive order is not law. It's not it doesn't have any teeth. So what the CDC pronouncement has said is that the masks can come off, and even though these governors have these executive orders, they're moot. They have no bearing to you going in and getting your life back and getting back to normal. So that's also another positive development here in inching our way towards getting back to normal. Distancing is eliminated. The masks are eliminated, and we can people can start gathering together. Great news. Let's see. Let's talk about, at this point, let's switch gears from COVID to the Biden administration, and let's start out with the economy. And right now, what we're seeing is the skyrocketing of inflation. And you're seeing it in our gasoline prices. You're seeing it in our food prices. And this is going to continue. And folks, you can lay this right at the failure of this president. And I've got a new nickname for him, President Incompetence. And that's what we're seeing each and every day. It seems like more and more we're seeing that this guy, either he's sleeping, spending his time saying, well, I'm not going to see anybody, no reporters today, no questions, or when he does show up, it's very limited. But the results of this administration so far is we're seeing weakness from the domestic to the international. And this inflation that's taking place, a lot of the economists are concerned of what we're seeing taking place. And we're just at the beginning of it. And forecasts are that we're going to really see a pinch with our buying power and shortages. And we're already starting to hear some rumblings. It may not be just gas shortages, but we might see already products on the shelf that we're not going to see on those shelves. So there's another area that we're seeing the economic policies that are hurting the United States. And it hurts us when we try and buy things, but we're also seeing that will affect us globally. We're weaker when it comes to the products that we have. The competition globally, we are behind the eight ball in that respect too. And I don't see any positive direction under this, under President Incompetence. And it's sad to think that a year ago, little over a year ago, year and a half ago, the United States, were energy independent, and we weren't beholden to any foreign nation, and we were actually exporting fuel and gas, natural gas. And look where we are right now. Not in good shape. And gas lines, Jimmy Carter gas lines now in some of our states. The Carolinas, we saw pictures of gas lines. Even heard of people scuffling and fighting over getting in line to get gas. So once again, incompetence at the highest level. And really, you get the sense this guy's got no clue on getting our nation on track again. You know, we're coming out of this pandemic, and our economy's suffering because incompetence. And when it comes to growing our nation, President Trump had this nation spinning. We were going. And President Trump definitely had all the foundation laid to when we come through this and started at the end of the pandemic, we would have been right where we needed to be. But what did Biden do? Oh yeah, well let's start stimulus. Okay, 1.9 trillion, and then let's add some more trillions to that. I think another 4 trillion. And oh yeah, we got to start paying people, giving them some more money, monthly payments. To the point now that people are making more money sitting at home than to go to taking these jobs that these businesses are dying to get employees. But no, they're not going to go. Many of these people are going to say, wait a minute, what is Biden crazy? He thinks I'm going to make less money if I can stay home and make more money. So right now what we're seeing is many of these governors in the red states have already said, okay, we're cutting the state funds here now. That $300, no more. And they're taking matters in their own hands. And I think that should be enough right there in those red states to get people off their butts and get back out into the workforce. And we'll see Biden sticking to his guns and saying, oh, no, that's not it. It's not the money. And again, incompetence. President incompetence has no clue, and it's obvious what's taking place where people aren't going back to work when they can make more money staying home. So that's where we are right now, and we'll see. Just like what Biden said is when we're done building the wall, it looks like right now he's going to be plugging holes right now at the southern border. And that brings me to a point. I'd like to go back and talk about why did the CDC come out with this announcement at this time. And I think let's start thinking about what's been going on here. Inflation. Businesses wanting to open up and they can't because of this administration and their policies. And now, this week, we see our ally, Israel, getting bombed from terrorists and continuously. And now it's escalating, and Israel is dealing with that. And Biden is tepid when it comes to his support for Israel. And he did a little bit of talk about Israel, but I think leading up to that, the talk about negotiating with Iran and getting all that negotiation started, I think has signaled to the world that Biden is back supporting Iran, giving them money. And what do they do? What does Iran do with that money? Give it to the proxies to fight Israel. And that's what we're seeing. President incompetence at work again, coddling to our enemies when our allies are left to fend for themselves. So a lot to watch in the Middle East right now, and keep our prayers for Israel and what they're dealing with right now. And again, if we take a closer look at what's going on in Israel, they've carried out hundreds of airstrikes in Gaza on Wednesday after the Palestinians fired rockets into Tel Aviv and Beersheba, according to the IDF, the Israel Defense Force. Israel Defense Minister Benny Gantz said that the country forces have attacked hundreds of targets, and they have killed some of the Hamas operatives there in Gaza. So I'll ask this question. Would this be happening right now if we had President Trump in the White House? And I think the answer to that is no way would that be happening, because President Trump, leader Trump, would have dealt and brought forces to bear to firm up Israel and to make a statement that we're not going, and the United States will not let our ally Israel deal and have to handle that. And there we go. We're seeing already, president incompetence should not have been in that office, and that we get on a whole nother subject on how he got there. But obviously, the world is seeing the weakness of this guy and his unwillingness to stand with our ally Israel. A lot of lip service, but actions would be a lot better. In fact, I've heard some of the analysts saying, "Well, wait a minute. One signal to these terrorists would be that we start sending more missiles to Israel to support the Iron Dome to fire those rockets, the Iron Dome, the intercept rockets, to take those missiles that are coming in." That could have been that can be a signal to these terrorists that, hey, the United States is going to support Israel every step of the way. But Biden hasn't said anything. The president in incompetence is quiet right now and just doing the very minimal lip service on how, he supports Israel. Well, supporting Israel would be, let's support that Iron Dome and let's put Iran on notice that we know that their hands are in this. And again, Biden's weakness is this isn't just in the United States. This spectacle by this guy, we're seeing it's a signal around the world that the United States is weaker. I mean, we were a strong nation, energy independent. These bad actors out in the world had a president in President Trump that they said, wait a minute, we better not step out of line because we don't know what he's going to do. That uncertainty of what our commander-in-chief, President Trump, would do was a deterrent to these bad actors. But they know, Biden, they know he's weak. And we're already seeing the bad actors acting up. And, I kind of think of what we've seen. I almost see a comparison here. We see what's going on in Israel. But what is going on in our own nation? Like Antifa, like police being putting up their hands and saying, okay, Antifa, go right ahead. We're not going to deter you. What is happening? It's almost like and we've already seen it. Seattle, Portland, stand down. Police stand down. And now we're seeing more and more that these people can't even drive down the street now in some of these Antifa-run areas, in some of these left-wing cities like Portland, Seattle, and other locations where these terrorists are running rampant and blocking bridges, highways. And if you try and say something, try and protect yourself, you're the one that goes to jail. And rather than these terrorists being locked up, a real problem that we're seeing, and it's all left-wing run states right now. And if Biden, president incompetence, stood up and said, we're going to stand for law and order. We're truly going to support our police. And this is unacceptable in the streets of America. But you don't hear that from Biden. And right now, I guess he wants to make sure he doesn't get AOC and the squad mad at him. So, he's treading lightly, I guess it appears. But again, it just goes to show his weakness and who is running the White House. That's the question. Because I don't think that this incompetent individual right now even knows where he might even be in any given day. So a sad situation that we're seeing right now in this nation. And again, some of the bright spots, we're seeing Governor DeSantis there in Florida moving his state forward and dealing with some of this social justice mess that we're seeing, critical race theory, or as I would say, critical hate theory, dealing with that, getting that out of our schools. And more governors are following his lead, joining in on the same legislation for their states. And not just that, I mean, it all wrapped up in one. This social justice, critical race theory. And when you start talking about racists, that's what this is. This critical hate theory is racist. That when you're looking at the skin color, and now it's, if you're white, then you've got an inherent problem that you can't resolve. It's just that's the way you were born that way, and there's nothing you can do to redeem yourself except, maybe bow a knee and almost pray to those so-called social justice warriors and ask for forgiveness because of your whiteness. It's racist, but it's not. It's racist the other way, and we're just seeing the evil that is enveloped in that, and they want to bring that to our schools. But we're starting to see many parents are waking up and going to their school boards. I don't know if you've seen some videos that have gone viral where these parents are saying, school board, teachers, and that's what needs to happen. Is there was a teacher that had spoke up and said, well, I don't care what you say, I'm still going to teach it. That should be the first teacher that gets the boot. And that's what needs to really start happening. Is ordinary Americans need to start going to your school board and getting involved and making sure that this hate speech, this hate curriculum gets pulled out and never to return to our schools to teach our kids this type of hate. And there'll be more of it. I've been, Glenn Beck has been at the forefront. He's been at the forefront for the social justice. He's been at the forefront for the Great Reset and keeping us informed on what's taking place there and the avenues that the enemies of freedom are trying to take this nation or to take down this nation. And obviously, Brother Doug has been at the forefront too in keeping us apprised of the Great Reset and how globally we're seeing this global push for indoctrination and this type of teaching that will destroy the United States in our sovereignty. So a lot, a lot is happening in our nation. A lot of it is negative. We need to pray for the United States and just where we can make a statement. Like if you have children, grandchildren in school, and as I was saying, if you have a grandchildren, kids in school right now, get involved and make sure that this critical race theory, if it's being taught, that gather like-minded parents together and to stand strong, because ultimately you're the bosses when it comes to your children and what they get taught. And very simply, if those teachers or administrators have the attitude where, hey, we're running things and this is how it's going to be done, you can vote them out. So I'd like to just touch bases or backtrack a bit and to say, now that we're finally starting to see the end of the COVID tunnel, that we can maybe start to get back to normal, I think we need to make sure that this never happens again. And I want to have us take a look at a video. And it's Rand Paul, and he's talking to Dr. Fauci about a possible testing that took place in Wuhan, and was Dr. Fauci's NIH involved in funding some of this testing that were designed to make super viruses, basically supercharging viruses, dangerous to make this the COVID look like a common cold. Some of the testing that's out there, and answering or saying, was there a possibility that this particular virus got out of a lab? And Rand Paul has been pretty holding Fauci's feet to the fire when it comes to all this mess that's been coming out of his mouth, whether it's masks or just the vaccines. And if you get a vaccine, then why would you still be wearing masks? All those questions that he stumbled and fumbled. And now we need to get answers. In fact, we should have gotten answers, or at least been digging aggressively to find out what was the deal. Where did this come from? And is his fingerprints, funding fingerprints on these labs that have been working and trying to develop these super viruses? And ethically, should they be developing this type of even putting the world in a position that an outbreak or the virus could escape the lab, and we could even have even more devastation? So I'd like you to take a look here at the conversation that Rand Paul has with Dr. Fauci.